is Transform Kenya with Eric Latif and Noah Kipkemboi. Tonight, we are discussing the impact of the finance bill on the manufacturing sector. We've got sector players from the manufacturing industries all across the country who are here today telling us what they feel the proposals contained in the finance bill are going to impact them both positively and negatively. And also we have a panel of experts who are here with us. Noah, let's hear from other sector players on what the proposals contained in this bill are going to bring about in manufacturing.
Definitely, Latif. So we're touching on this issue of eco-levy because we want a cleaner environment, a better Kenya. Question is, how is it being implemented? Is it pro-industry or not? Are there better ways to engage this? And even when you talk about plastics, which are the center of this, there are two different types of plastics, Eric. There is rigid plastic, and I'm told there is the flexible one. And I don't know whether it is reflective with flexibility in taxing, excise, the likes of EABL. But at this particular moment, I'll start briefly. I have gentlemen here. There is a triangular formation here of gentlemen in packaging of some sort. I'll start with Rajiv Raja from Sandpack Africa Limited, and they are in rigid plastics. Do you feel the finance bill has been quite rigid to some of your propositions?
Thank you for that question, audience. We are from the plastic packaging sector of manufacturing, and specifically our company is in rigid plastic packaging. So far, the panel has talked about double taxation, but in our case, we are now talking about triple taxation. We've been engaging with government for many years on the nuisance of plastic. For sure, we all need to live in a clean environment, and government should regulate and force us to take care of the environment. We are known globally for all our environmental issues, but we also need to make a living, and we also need to have jobs for our people. So we need to have a healthy living in a clean environment. That should be our objective. And our approach to this issue through KAM has been to have a kind of a win-win situation. Since 2021, we participated in the enactment of the Waste Management Act, and we agreed to come together under a producer responsibility organization. So each month, whatever plastic that we manufacture and put out into the environment, we pay a levy to this organization, and this organization uses the money to encourage recycling and to help out in collection of waste plastic. We then also have a scheme with our customers that whatever waste plastic that they have, we collect and we dispose of it very safely. So that was a tax that, or a levy that we are paying since 2021. Then 3 years ago, the government came up with an excise duty on packaging, which we fought very hard. And last year we managed to get them to remove it for local production of excise, on local production of packaging. This year, the first draft, as I think Philip mentioned, the first draft from the finance bill did not have this eco-levy. So we were not very concerned about the impact on our industry. We were quite fine with what the bill was saying. But later on, when the second draft came, then it really hit us. This eco-levy of 150 shillings a kilo will, as Billo said, is going to increase the cost of the jerry cans that he buys. And obviously, if the price of the final product goes up, demand goes down. If demand goes down, our requirement to supply goes down. And obviously, if we have less work, then we're going to have to shrink. And if we shrink, then some of us will not come back. We will be gone for good. So all in all, we have a situation where from one tax, we are now facing 3 taxes in this budget for the same issue. It's the logic behind introducing these 3 taxes is basically to protect the environment.
Okay, and on the same front, I know that is rigid. Flexible, are you guys facing the same challenges, or is there flexibility of some sort and differing from the rigid plastic subsector? Briefly, sir.
Firstly, I'd like to thank, on behalf of the audience, Eric Latif, Standard Group, and the panelists for this lovely town hall. I just like to jog everybody's memory. We used to have something called Vision 2030. Manufacturing was one of the key pillars, 4 key pillars. So just like to jog your memories on that. I'd like to put into context what the eco-levy of 150 shillings will have on flexible packaging, popularly known as Juala. Our raw materials, currently the price CNF Mombasa is about $1,100, which equates to, after clearing, about 160 shillings. On top of that, we are going to add 150 shillings if it's charged at the port of entry. That doubles our price of raw material. And I don't need to add what will the final impact be, because you all know what the ripple effect will be on what the users of the plastic bags and then the consumers. Now, if I am to pay 150 shilling levy for one container, 140-foot container of 24.75 tons, I will be paying a levy of 3.7 million shillings per container. Now, if you take the plastic industry overall, on average, a company would be importing 20 to 40 containers a month. So if you take somebody who's importing 20, he'll be required to pay 30 million or whatever. Now, if you multiply that, can you imagine the impact on the cash flows every business will have? Where do we get that cash flow from?
Okay, definitely. And there's the rubber, just one more. Okay.
And the flexible industry has survived a lot. In 2007, they imposed 120% excise duty, which finally, when they saw it didn't make sense, they reduced it down to 50 and then eventually 10. In 2017, they imposed a ban on shopping bags and flimsy bags that the mama bogas use. The shopping bags were replaced, the HDP shopping bags were replaced by another plastic bag, which is called the non-woven plastic bag, which is even worse than what we were using before. And the flimsy bags they were banned completely, but I'm sure all of you have seen on the streets, the vendors are packing the pineapple, the watermelon, the peanuts, everything. All those bags are still being available in Kenya.
Okay. Eric, before I hand over to you, the gentleman asked whether we remember Vision 2030. It seems it was rubbed off, and this was courtesy of the rubber industry. Sir, briefly, in less than a minute before we touch on agro and hand over, please, how does the finance bill touch on their rubber products?
I'll keep this very brief. The finance bill introduces an eco-levy or rubber wheels under Chapter 40. And this is where it impacts us. Now, I understand NEMA is trying to clean up the environment and try to introduce levies so that they can have some sort of recycling facilities put on board. Now, when we talk of rubber wheels under Chapter 40, we have your tractor tires, your truck tires, your bicycle tires, your scooter tires, your wheelbarrow tires, your trolley tires and everything. Now, a trolley tire costs about 500 shillings. A wheelbarrow tire costs about 600 shillings. If we put 1,000 shillings levy on such tires, they become impossible to work with.
Okay.
And these things are actually made from recycled rubber. So we are trying to put an eco-levy where we are trying to recycle something. It doesn't make sense.
Definitely. And finally, from Osho Chemicals, Manoj Shah, Agrochemicals, today is World Food Safety Day. Talk to us about how agro-processing is being impacted by these propositions. Then we hand over to Latif.
Thank you very much. Agrochemical has been on a roller coaster journey for last maybe 20 years. Mara, we are on exempt, Mara zero rated, and sometimes even VAT. Globally, agriculture is subsidized. And in Kenya, we don't ask for subsidy because we are very capable. We are hardworking. However, the HS code used on any import of agrochemical, and 80% of Kenya's agrochemicals, whether liquid or powder, it comes pre-packed. Even the very function of packaging is not taken seriously. Why? Because sharing the same HS code, imports is the most suitable thing to do. Hakuna matata. You just have a go down, watu wa mukono, and a big sales team. When you come to packaging, your bottle, funiko, label, carton, sitima, except for labor, everything is wettable. If you are on a rented premise, there is VAT. On zero rated, we do accumulate VAT, and sometimes there's a long delay, like we're still waiting for 2018 refunds even now. So it costs us and blocks our cash flow. You have heard repeatedly. We're talking of a sector that is very critical to our economy. And on top of it, we're looking at food security. Malnourishment is also a reality in this country. Plus, the beauty about this sector is it's the biggest employer in this economy. And that too, self-employed people. You know how much effort it takes to be self-employed? It's the biggest decision of your life. And had it not been for agriculture, all these fancy things, including IT and everything, tungepata wapi?
That's
it all
true,
came
sir.
from our agriculture background.
Thank you very much, sir, for your input. Over to you, Eric.
Well, thank you very much, Noah, and thank you to the manufacturers for actually bringing your voice to the table and raising these issues. As we come to conclude here, I want to come back to my panel, and I just want to have closing remarks from each of you. I want to start with you, Eric. As the Alcoholic Beverages Association, you've engaged. You've even gone to the parliamentary committees. You've talked to them periodically, and you've said what you feel is going to happen. If you're not heard this time, then what?
It will be the most unfortunate thing for the Kenyan consumer because we'll see the growth of illicit. Unfortunately, illicit affects the health. Again, it will also be a very sad state for the government because they will see a decline in revenue. And even worse to the value chain players to which we support, straight from the sugarcane farmer, the barley farmer, sorghum farmer, it could be significantly going to impact them because our government just needs to learn from East Africa. Look at what is happening within East Africa. Other countries are very, very keen on alcohol taxation, and they have always never been aggressive on raising taxes. And as a result, we don't see the levels of illicit in that area. And worse off, of course, sadly to the legitimate bar owners and the entire group of people that are employed at that level, it will be a sad state for our country. It won't be a win-win for anybody.
Thank you, Eric. Christine, I'll finish with you, Anthony. Christine, what would you like to tell the lawmakers? They're the ones who now have the final decision on this. What would you like to tell them?
That public participation should actually yield good results. As I mentioned, we've got some good policies in the finance bill. We've got some provisions that cause challenges to the businesses. Let's work together so that we can give you data that helps to inform policy. Because how we should look at it is that tax policy should actually attract investment while raising sufficient revenue for the government. It becomes a win-win both for government and for the taxpayers as well. We really need to work on tax morale as well. Tax morale requires accountability from government as well. So I think that's also another focus area we need to be looking at, that whatever we raise, if it is used well, and the government is accountable, I'm certain that we will be working together towards increasing our tax to GDP ratio. Thank you.
Philip, as ISPAC, some of the people who will be making decisions in Parliament are your members.
Yes.
This bill has been drafted by your members. Okay, now redeem your industry.
Well, you remember introducing me as a mediator.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that from the discussions we've held today here with the manufacturers, the finance bill seems to be aiming at killing the goose that lays the golden egg. You will notice that the finance bills that have been, there last year and this year, they are more focused on what can you pay and how can you get it. It's not focused on growth of the economy, growth of industry, growth of anybody. It is, can we get something from you and move out or move forward. I agree that some of my members of ISPAC are driving the agenda in Parliament, including the chair of the Parliamentary Finance Committee and others. But you'll realize that there is more than the experts can give. It's a political process, and we just hope that they can be able to listen. Those that matter can be able to listen. But more importantly is for us to solve all these issues is purely sorting out corruption. Corruption is the key that drives all this mess we are in. Revenue leakages we must seal from an expenditure point of view, from a collection point of view. Because as you hear manufacturers speak, why would, I'm just giving a philosophical example. It seems like the seller, important seller of goods, seems to be listened to, but not the manufacturer. Now I keep on wondering, Latifa, as I'm seated here, buy Kenya, build Kenya. Where is it here? I don't see it. It is just my prayer, and a big prayer for this matter, that Parliament will be able to listen and listen to the people of Kenya. We have enough experts from the National Treasury to the presidency. Outside here we are available. But the point is, can they listen? Just listen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Philip. Bilo, it's a political process as well. You're a politician. Once a politician, they say, always a politician. So, do you think there's any hope for redemption through the political process?
Of course, we have to, as human beings, we must have hope. I mean, we have hope. But the challenge we have, I think, this government, as it was in the previous government, is they don't listen. The single most important challenge for any human being is you must learn to listen. Government does not have a monopoly of ideas. And the misconception in government that a nation's economy equals to government, that, the government is the economy. If the government collects huge revenues, the economy is good. They've completely, misplaced. The economy is the people and the businesses. Government is supposed to provide policy, provide, a conducive business environment. But so for you to do that, you must listen to people. So I think that is the disconnect, and that's something that I would urge those in leadership to listen, because if you don't listen, you'll drive this country south, and we'll end up just being a nation of traders. All of us will go, why would I manufacture cooking oil if I can get it for half the price in Uganda and Tanzania? The same thing he will do, the same thing everybody else will do. So you're killing business.
Thank you, Bilo. FCPA. Bilo Kero, you've said listen. I'm just going to, edit your words and say, shut up and listen. Anthony, as we conclude, speak to the manufacturers. If the process is going on however it's going, what would you like to tell your members?
I want to encourage our members, and they have followed this debate very closely, that from the evidence and the data that you've provided to the ministry, we had a meeting with the ministry today. We have a meeting with the CS industry this week as well. And I want to encourage them that it is not done until it's done. We are still very hopeful because you've provided the regulatory impact assessment of 2023. And I know that members of parliament and the committees on finance and national planning, departmental committees on trade, industry, and cooperatives, we have had a lot of engagements with them. And as the people have said that, listen, we are hopeful that this time round, they will do what is right, not for us, but for Wanjiku. Because all these taxes, the person who bears the ultimate price is Mwananchi. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. And thank you very much for watching and following this conversation. This is Transform Kenya. You know, we say that, you could talk, but it may bear no fruit. They may not listen. They may go ahead and do what they're doing. But believe that we shall eventually transform Kenya by having such kind of conversations. I want to thank my audience, manufacturers who are here with us in the audience, and also my panelists, Eric Gedua, Alcoholic Beverage Association of Kenya Chairman, Anthony Mwangi, the CEO of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Christine Kahema, who's a tax expert, CPA Philip Kakai, Chairman of ISPAC and FCPA, the Honorable Bill Okero, who is a retired politician, an industry player, and somebody who's participated a lot in budget making. Thank you for tuning in. Keep it here for more. Coming up is the news. Good evening.